Alright, in this video I want to talk about the spirit of the age, the spirit that we're dealing with today. It seems to be the spirit that wants to divide, it wants to be angry, it wants to fight, it doesn't want a solution, it doesn't want peace, it just wants to clack heads. And we see this in a perfect example with politics, the left and the right. Because you try to reason with both sides, and it's as if they don't want to, right? They want to be divided, and they want to fight. They don't want peace. And it's a real shame. You ever had this experience where either you were dealing with somebody who was very unruly, or maybe you were being very unruly, right? Very confrontational, and you were aggressive, like because you were upset, or you know somebody who was like that, and you try to talk the person down by, hey, what's going on? Why are you upset? And when they explain it, it ends up being a misunderstanding. And when you explain to them it's a misunderstanding, you can see it in their eyes that they're like, yeah, that was a misunderstanding. But they still want to be upset. They still try to find a reason to be mad and to continue butting heads. Maybe sometimes that's happened to you. I know, especially when I was younger, there'd be times where I was upset and I didn't want to be calmed down. Yeah, you were right, and it was a misunderstanding, but I don't care, right? There's just some reason where you just want to butt heads, right? But it seems to be getting worse, where it's these groups are collecting together and they don't want to work things out. And I want to give examples of that in this video and try to help people understand my point of view on politics and where I stand. Where I stand is basically I'm not even part of this world. That's how I see it. So it's basically like if I went to China to visit, I'm not really invested in the politics. I might take time to learn about their politics and how things are run, but I'm not going to care too much about it because it's not my home. It's not my nation, right? It's just I'm just staying here for a little while until I die from natural or unnatural causes, or until Jesus comes back. So whatever is going on, right? But here in America, if I take a look at the political system with the left and the right, I'm in the middle because I agree with things from the left, I agree with things on the right, and I disagree with some things on the left, and I disagree with some things on the right. And I think that I should be able to just get rid of the stuff I don't like from the left, get rid of the stuff I don't like from the right, and take the stuff that I like from both and bring them together. And the strange thing is that the left and the right don't want this kind of peace, right? And I think it's a fair compromise, but if you try to talk someone from the left to come to the middle, what they see is you're bringing them to the right. And when you're talking to someone on the right to say come to the middle, they think you're bringing them to the left. And it's like, no, I don't want to go right, I don't want to go left. I want to stay here in the middle path, right? And I'm going to give some examples of trying to reason with the two groups here, where let's say it comes to the sex issue between men and women, where the right is viewed as being misogynist, and because of their misogynist views, it creates a rebellion to that, right? Where women would go to the left and they start supporting feminism, where women need to have rights, right? To be equal to men and not to be brought into subjection to men, because it's not fair, right? But then what happens? The women that are doing this feminist movement, they become, I'm not sure what the word is for a female misogynist, so they just become a female version of that, right? I guess we'll call them feminazis, right? Where basically they don't want to be equal with men, they want to be above men and men to be below them. So then instead of actually, having this middle part where it's like, oh yeah, I agree that men and women should have this equal rights, it's like, no, you either have to go fully left and women have the power or fully right and men have the power. And it's like, why? Why can't we come together in the middle here? Isn't it fair that we both have a say? Right? I mean, I don't get why that can't happen. And another issue when it comes to sex, there is abortion, where I believe in the freedom to have an abortion if you want, but morally I'm against it. So I don't see why there's not a middle ground there where, okay, yeah, there's freedom to have one, but I'm morally against it, so I'm not going to have one. I'm not forced to have one. So as long as you're not forced to have one, or the opposite there, right? Then, there's freedom. Everybody gets what they want, right? I don't see what's wrong with that, because you're getting what you want. Unless what you want is to have your beliefs imposed on someone else, then I don't think you should be part of this, right? It shouldn't matter what you think if you just want to dominate other people, right? It just shouldn't be, right? But again, coming back to this abortion thing, where a lot of the people on the left, it's for the women, like it's their body, right? And that's fair enough. But it's completely ignoring the man. Like, if I would, let's say I'm not married, get in a fresh relationship with a woman, and she wants the freedom to have an abortion, even if I don't want her to abort my child. That just shows me that there's not a connection. You're not committed to me. You want the freedom to be able to leave whenever you want. I don't want that part of a relationship. I don't want a relationship with that kind of a woman, right? It's, if you feel that way, well, then you shouldn't be with somebody then, right? If you want the freedom to just go, then you should make that clear when you're starting a relationship as well, right? Like, women want men to be clear, but women are not always clear, right? So, there should be a middle ground here. Okay, you agree before time. If a pregnancy happens, you're going to keep it or you're not, right? You decide on how the relationship's going to go before anything crazy happens. It seems weird that people get in a relationship where they have completely different views on these kind of things, and then when something like this happens, like a pregnancy, one of them wants to get rid of it and one of them wants to keep it. Sometimes it's the woman who wants to keep it and the man wants to get rid of it. Sometimes the man wants to keep it and the woman wants to get rid of it. Well, how come you didn't come to an agreement before you started having sex? I mean, it just doesn't make sense, right? What do I have to say anything else about that? I mean, you got to deal with that mess because you created it, right? I mean, I don't know why you didn't think that through. I don't know. Young and dumb, don't listen to your parents. Your parents didn't care. I don't know. You were raised by the state. Weren't raised by the state. I don't know, right? But that's kind of common sense. It should be one of the first things that should be clicking there. That you're on the right page with your significant other, right? But for some reason, both sides, the men and the women, they want to play each other and manipulate one another. Okay, well then this is what you're going to get. You're going to get a far left and a far right, and you don't want to come together. It's like the country's being divorced and split apart, and they want to be apart, and you trying to bring them together is actually creating more of an issue, right? Kind of like when the storm is brewing. What happens in the sky and the clouds is there's like I don't know if it's a negative or positive charge happens in the sky. I'm just going to say a positive charge in the sky. And then the ground starts to get the opposite, a negative charge, right? And then the storm's brewing. And then when they come together, it's the lightning, right? And then the thunder and everything, right? It's like a war because they polarized completely. Then they started just collecting the whole left to one side, the whole right to one side. They completely separated where there is no middle ground, and then boom, just crashed into each other. And that's what it looks like is going to be happening, not just in the nation, but worldwide. This is just an example of the spirit that's going on, is this dividing for a just destruction, kind of like Moses departing the Red Sea, or parting the Red Sea, not departing it, parting the Red Sea, crossing it, and then it's like the left and the right, right? And then they come crashing together. That's what it looks like is going on, where you try to, hey, let's bring this together so that there's not this big crash and this self-destruction. But no, they want to fight with one another. Where another point coming to sexuality would be something like gay rights, like homosexuals being allowed to be married. I think I have a fair view on that, where if two guys want to get married, two women want to get married, go right ahead, right? But don't force a church to marry you. You're taking away their freedom to disagree with you. So if a church or denomination doesn't agree with homosexual marriage, but you want to force them to marry you, that's anti-American, right? That's anti-freedom. You're forcing them to do something they don't want to do. So just get married by the state. So you see, both sides have their freedom. They can do what they want. The church doesn't have to marry homosexuals, and homosexuals can still get married. See, both sides get what they want. But instead, no. Just like with abortion, the right wants to make it so the left can't have abortions. Well, just like that, the left wants to force the right to have to do their marriage ceremonies. And it's like, well, you don't care about the other side's freedom, then why are they going to care about your freedom? Right? Why be consistent and be reasonable? Be fair. It doesn't seem like either side wants to actually do that. Right? Some other things here, like things are kind of slipping my mind. I had a list of things in my mind that I wanted to bring up here, but those are only the two things that popped up. But I'm pretty sure if you're on one side or the other, you can think of other issues that you don't like about the other side. Again, coming back to abortion, after the child's born, the left will say the right doesn't care once the child's born. And they got a point there, right? Just have the child, but we don't want to have to take care of it. Basically, have the child take care of itself, right? It's just kind of like, well, when you don't want to take care of the child, but you want it to be born, it's going to grow up and realize, hey, you didn't care. So it's obviously going to go against you. Right? Seems kind of dumb there. The immigration one is a little wacky too, where from what I understand from the right, they're okay with immigration as long as it's legal, not illegal. The left just seems to want to have more and more immigration. And this is where, this is where I really wanted to come down to, was religion, right? I believe in freedom of religion. If you don't want to have a religion, even though I think atheism is a religion, you're free to do that. I believe we all should have that freedom, and I don't want a combination of church and state, because then if you don't completely agree with their view of whatever form of Christianity they want to take, well, then you're a heretic, and you're basically an unbeliever to them, and they're going to imprison you or kill you off like they would do with any other unbeliever, as we've seen in history every time the church and the state mingle together. So I'm completely against that. But what we see on the left is that they will be against Christianity, and they will attack Christianity and Christian views, and it has a lot to do with uh, male misogyny and being against homosexuality and things like that. But then the left will go and bring in Muslim immigrants, support them, and support Islam. And if you speak out against Islam, you're a homophobe. But they believe in misogyny, where the male is in charge, the woman is in submission to wear their hijab, little covering, and that the women don't have the same rights as the man, and they're against the homosexuals where they should be stoned, right? They have those same views. The left will embrace that and then hypocritically attack Christianity for having those same views on those same topics. Right? So it's kind of like, okay, well, if you're going to give that kind of freedom to Islam, then give it to Christianity. Be consistent, be fair. Because what you're doing is you're creating a again a rebellion, this buildup of charges where you want to go so far left where the women have rights, the males don't have rights. Islam has rights, but Christianity doesn't have rights. Right? Going that far where if you happen to be a white Christian male, because I didn't also bring race into this, but race is a part of this as well, then you're somehow evil just for being a white Christian male, even though you might have not have done anything wrong to anybody. Not that you're sinless, but you haven't done anything more wrong than the people who would condemn you, right? Yet they condemn you for being that. So what is that going to do? If you're over here in the middle, and let's say you're a white Christian male, and the left demonizes you for being a male and not submitting, right? Not being a feminist, and then for being a Christian, and then for being straight, well, what's going to happen? Well, a good chunk of these people who are on the middle, they're going to repel, right? They're going to go away from that, and they're going to go to the right because this is where they're more welcome and more comfortable, where this side doesn't persecute them for being white, straight, and Christian. Even though this is like a lukewarm, false Christianity, this will embrace them. So where do you think they're going to go? Just like on the right, if they are against you being black and not white and not Christian, well, if you're in the middle and you're a black atheist, a black Muslim, and you're here in the middle, and the right is not accepting of you because you're Muslim, you're atheist, you're black, or you're Latino or Asian or something, right? You're still American, but you have a different color skin, a different ethnicity. Well, what's that going to do to that group? They're going to go to the left, even if they don't completely agree with the left, because in here they are embraced. Or, again, when it comes to sexuality, if you are gay or transgender, if you're rejecting that and they're in the middle, but you won't let them stay in the middle because you don't want to have that peace, well, then you're just pushing them to the other side. So you're creating this negative charge on one side, a positive charge on the other, and it's just a matter of time before lightning strikes and you have a storm. And then this is the biggest thing that always happens. I try to talk to someone on the left, and I talk about some of the issues on the left, and then they will bash Donald Trump and Republicans, and I'm like, I'm not a Republican, and I don't like Donald Trump. Matter of fact, I think he's the Antichrist. I think he's going to change times and laws, just like the Antichrist has claimed to do, so that he stays in president. Well, he already said, Christians, go vote, and you will fix it where you never have to vote again. Well, what the heck does that mean? And then while he's saying, oh, I love you, Christians, and then he says, I'm not Christian. A Freudian slip right there, right? He's he is that man of sin, no doubt about it. He is pompous enough to claim to be God and all that. But but then if I speak out against, like I just did, against the right in Trump, all of a sudden I support Biden and Harris and Obama and the lefty policies, every single one of them. It's like, but I'm not on that side. So most of the time when I say something against the right, I have to sit there while they just sit there and bash the left, and I get nowhere. I talk to someone on the left, and they'll bash the right, and I have to sit there while they do that. And it has nothing to do with me whatsoever, and actually the middle ground, and how this is where it's fair. Everybody gets what they want. It's not even really a compromise. You get what you want here in the middle. You don't want an abortion? You want one? Both get what they want. You don't want to have to marry gays in your church? Well, gays can still get married? Perfect, right? You can be Christian and not be persecuted. You can be Muslim and not be persecuted. Every side gets what they want here in the middle frickin' ground. No, that's not what you want. You want to control each other and dominate one another and basically wipe the other off the frickin' map. And that's what the spirit of this age is just division. Where Trump won, so they're just sitting there mocking the left, and then the left is taunting them about all the stuff that's going to happen, all the false promises that won't come true. And there's no reconciliation, no, hey, let's meet at this middle ground. It's no, if you voted for Harris, screw you. If you voted for Trump, screw you. It's just, we all know where this is leading. But anyway, that's that. Thanks for watching.